The Savior, a cyberpunk short story. My name is Dr. Akira Sato, and I used to be a loyal employee of Arasaka Corporation. Working in their cutting-edge laboratory at the heart of Night City, I was the lead scientist on a top-secret project that held the promise of transforming the lives of millions. We developed a groundbreaking treatment that could heal cyberpsychosis, the mental condition that tormented countless lives, driving them to the brink of insanity and violence. As the number of cybernetic augmentations in the population increased, cyberpsychosis became an epidemic in Night City. I had seen its horrors firsthand, and the thought of alleviating that suffering was what had initially driven me to work for Arasaka. But instead of sharing this cure with the world, the corporation only wanted it for Yorinobu Arasaka, the rebellious son of Saburo Arasaka. Arasaka's decision to keep the cure for Yorinobu and not release it to the general public stemmed from a complex web of corporate strategy, familial loyalty, and the pursuit of power. Yorinobu Arasaka had long been a thorn in the side of the corporation. He was a vocal critic of Arasaka's unethical practices and sought to undermine the company from within. Despite their strained relationship, Saburo still harbored a sense of paternal duty toward his son and wanted to ensure his well-being. When it became apparent that Yorinobu had developed cyberpsychosis, a result of his extensive cybernetic augmentations and risky endeavors, Saburo saw an opportunity to regain control over his wayward son. By developing and administering the cure to Yorinobu, Saburo hoped to bring him back to his senses and subsequently re-establish his influence over him. Saburo believed that, with Yorinobu's newfound loyalty, he could neutralize his son's rebellious streak and further consolidate the Arasaka family's power. In contrast, releasing the cure to the general public would have directly undermined Arasaka's lucrative pharmaceutical division, which made substantial profits from the sale of suppressant treatments for cyberpsychosis. These treatments were not a permanent solution, but they helped manage the symptoms, requiring patients to purchase them regularly. Arasaka's executives calculated that withholding the cure would maintain a steady stream of income and prevent potential competitors from gaining an edge in the market. Moreover, Arasaka feared the potential societal and political consequences of a cure for cyberpsychosis. The corporation's power rested heavily on its ability to maintain order in Night City, with cyberpsychosis serving as a means to justify their extensive security and surveillance measures. By keeping the population reliant on suppressant treatments and under constant threat of cyberpsychosis, Arasaka maintained a tight grip on the city. In the end, Arasaka's decision to keep the cure for Yorinobu and not the general public was driven by a ruthless pursuit of power and profit. The corporation's leadership was willing to sacrifice the well-being of countless individuals to maintain their dominance over Night City and control over their own kin. I couldn't stand the thought of so many suffering needlessly while Arasaka profited from their pain. I knew I had to expose the truth, but with Arasaka's eyes and ears everywhere, it wouldn't be easy. As I made the decision to expose Arasaka's secret cure, I knew that I needed allies to protect me and help get the information out. That's when I remembered the Moxes, a gang that had gained a reputation for standing up to corporations and helping those in need. The Moxes were known for their skills in subversion, their extensive underground network, and their hatred for corporate oppression. They were an ideal choice for the kind of help I needed. I contacted an informant who had connections with the Moxes and arranged for a clandestine meeting in one of Night City's seediest bars, Lizzie's. A dimly lit establishment tucked away in a back alley of Watson, Lizzie's was frequented by misfits, outcasts, and those looking for anonymity. It was the perfect place to make contact with the Moxes without attracting undue attention. As I entered Lizzie's, I felt a mix of excitement and fear. The pulsing neon lights and throbbing techno music set the stage for the tense negotiations that lay ahead. I took a seat at a secluded corner table and ordered a drink, my hands shaking slightly as I clutched the glass. A few minutes later, a woman with fiery red hair and distinctive cybernetic augmentations approached my table. She introduced herself as Ruby, a high-ranking member of the Moxes. Her eyes scanned the room, constantly on alert for any signs of danger. I could tell she was assessing me, trying to determine whether I could be trusted. I explained my situation to Ruby, revealing the existence of the cyberpsychosis cure and Arasaka's decision to keep it hidden. I offered her the cure's formula and promised the Moxes a share of the potential profits in exchange for their protection and assistance. Ruby listened intently, her expression unreadable as she considered my proposal. After a tense pause, Ruby agreed to help me on the condition that I shared not only the profits, but also the cure itself with the Moxes and the people they protected. Their goal was to use the cure as a means to free those suffering from cyberpsychosis and strike a blow against the corporations that sought to control the lives of ordinary citizens. I accepted her terms without hesitation, knowing that our interests aligned and that together we could make a difference. With Ruby and the Moxes by my side, I began the dangerous task of preparing to release the information about the cyberpsychosis cure. The Moxes provided me with safe houses and false identities, helping me stay one step ahead of Arasaka's ever-watchful gaze. We planned our moves carefully, each step bringing us closer to our goal of exposing the truth and bringing hope to the people of Night City. As I prepared to release the information, I hid in the squalid, neon-lit alleyways of Night City's underbelly, constantly looking over my shoulder. Arasaka caught wind of my intentions, and they dispatched a team of elite bounty hunters called the Revenants to eliminate me and protect their secrets. The Revenants were formidable, equipped with state-of-the-art cybernetics and lethal weaponry. Their reputation was notorious, and I knew I had to stay ahead of them or face a gruesome end. One day, I was meeting with a contact from the Moxes in Kabuki Market, a bustling area filled with shops, food stalls, and street performers. We were exchanging information about the latest developments in Arasaka's search for me. Unbeknownst to us, the Revenants had intercepted our communications and set a trap. As we were about to leave the market, a group of Revenants appeared, armed with high-powered rifles and wearing menacing, featureless masks. They opened fire on the crowd, sending people scattering in panic. I dove for cover behind a nearby food stall as bullets whizzed by. My Mox's contact returned fire, giving me a chance to escape. I sprinted through the market, ducking into a narrow alleyway and barely avoiding a well-placed sniper shot. With the help of my Mox's allies, I managed to lose the Revenants in the labyrinth of Kabuki's backstreets, but the memory of that day still sends shivers down my spine. On another occasion, I had just left a safe house and was traveling to another part of Night City using the city's sprawling subway system. I kept a low profile, blending in with the crowd of commuters, when I noticed a man watching me intently from across the platform. His cold, predatory gaze left no doubt in my mind. He was one of the Revenants. As the train pulled into the station, I hurriedly boarded and tried to lose myself in the crowd of passengers. The Revenant followed closely behind, his eyes never leaving me. I made my way through the crowded train carriages, trying to put distance between us. As the train sped through the dark tunnels, I spotted an emergency exit door between two carriages. I wrenched it open and, using the momentum of the speeding train, leaped onto the platform of the next station just as the doors closed behind me. The Revenant was momentarily stunned, and by the time he recovered, I had disappeared into the throngs of people on the platform. As the pressure from the Revenants mounted and the threat to my life intensified, I realized that I needed to enlist more powerful allies to stand a chance against Arasaka. That's when I considered Militech, Arasaka's primary competitor, and a corporation that had its own interest in undermining Arasaka's operations. Militech, a powerful American military contractor, had a long-standing rivalry with Arasaka. They had clashed many times in the past over contracts, territorial disputes, and market dominance. By joining forces with Militech, I hoped to provide them with a means to strike a significant blow against their rival, while simultaneously furthering my own cause. I reached out to a contact within the Moxes who had connections to a Militech operative. Through a series of encrypted messages, we arranged a secret meeting in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Night City. The location was chosen to minimize the risk of detection by Arasaka or any other interested parties. When the night of the meeting arrived, I came face to face with the Militech operative, a woman named Valentina, who had a no-nonsense attitude and a steely resolve. I carefully explained my situation and presented the evidence of the cyberpsychosis cure that Arasaka had developed and kept hidden from the public. Valentina listened intently, her eyes narrowing as she considered the implications of this revelation. After a tense silence, Valentina agreed to help me on behalf of Militech. She understood the potential advantage that such information could provide to her employer in their ongoing battle with Arasaka. In exchange for my intel and the cure's formula, Militech would offer me protection and resources to aid in my quest to expose the truth. Over time, our alliance with Militech proved invaluable. They provided us with state-of-the-art weaponry, tactical support, and vital intelligence about Arasaka's movements. With Militech's backing, we were able to plan and execute more daring operations, including infiltrating Arasaka facilities to gather further evidence and disrupting their supply lines to hamper their efforts to suppress the truth. Of course, this partnership was not without its risks. Aligning with Militech meant entering into a dangerous game of corporate warfare, where the stakes were high and the consequences of failure could be catastrophic. But in our struggle against Arasaka, the support of such a powerful ally was a necessary gamble, one that ultimately brought us closer to our goal of exposing the truth about the cyberpsychosis cure and shaking the very foundations of the corporate world. As the struggle against Arasaka intensified and our alliance with Militech solidified, I realized that we needed more than just brute force and resources to succeed. We needed the expertise to penetrate Arasaka's highly sophisticated security systems and access their most guarded secrets. That's when I decided to seek help from the Voodoo Boys, an enigmatic gang of netrunners with unparalleled skills in breaching cyberspace defenses. The Voodoo Boys were known for their secretive nature and distrust of outsiders, but their reputation as master hackers was unmatched in Night City. They had a deep-rooted disdain for corporations like Arasaka, which they believed exploited technology to oppress the common people. I hoped that our shared animosity toward Arasaka would be enough to convince them to join our cause. I approached the Voodoo Boys through a trusted intermediary, who arranged a meeting with one of their leaders, a man known only as Brigitte. We met in an unassuming, dimly lit noodle shop in Pacifica, a district that the Voodoo Boys had claimed as their own. Brigitte was a tall, imposing figure with an air of mystery, her face obscured by a cybernetic visor. I cautiously explained my situation to Brigitte, detailing the discovery of the cyberpsychosis cure and Arasaka's efforts to keep it hidden. I also mentioned our alliance with Militech and how it had helped us gain ground in our fight against the corporation. I then presented my proposal. If the Voodoo Boys agreed to lend their hacking expertise to our cause, we would share the cure's formula with them and offer a portion of the potential profits once the truth was exposed. Brigitte listened carefully, her expression unreadable behind her visor. After a long pause, she agreed to help us, but under one condition. We would provide the Voodoo Boys with access to any valuable data or technology we uncovered during our operations against Arasaka. This would give them an edge in their ongoing battle against corporate dominance and help level the playing field for the people of Night City. With the Voodoo Boys on board, our campaign against Arasaka gained a new dimension. Their unparalleled skills in hacking allowed us to infiltrate Arasaka's most secure networks, uncovering vital intelligence and sabotaging their operations from within. The Voodoo Boys also provided us with advanced cyberware and net-running techniques that greatly enhanced our capabilities in cyberspace. This alliance with the Voodoo Boys was not without its challenges. Their secretive nature and distrust of outsiders sometimes made collaboration difficult, and their motivations did not always align perfectly with ours. However, our shared goal of exposing Arasaka's secrets and breaking their stranglehold on the cyberpsychosis cure ultimately united us in our struggle against the corporation, bringing us closer than ever to the truth and the possibility of a better future for the people of Night City. With the Voodoo Boys launching a coordinated cyber attack on Arasaka's defenses, Militech operatives and I infiltrated an Arasaka facility on a stormy night, cloaked by darkness and rain. Thunder rumbled in the distance as lightning illuminated the imposing structure before us, casting eerie shadows across its sleek and menacing facade. We moved swiftly and silently through the torrential downpour, our footsteps swallowed by the relentless sound of the rain. As we approached the towering fortress-like structure, the wind howled and whipped around us, concealing our footsteps and masking our presence. Our small strike team consisted of experienced Militech operatives, some Mox's fighters, and a Voodoo Boys netrunner, all united by our common goal. Clad in dark, high-tech armor and carrying cutting-edge weaponry, we were as prepared as we could be for the daunting task ahead. The data on the cure was stored in a heavily guarded server room deep within the complex, and reaching it would require stealth, skill, and no small amount of luck. We slipped past automated security systems, disabled by the Voodoo Boys' cyber attack, and avoided roaming patrols of Arasaka security forces as we made our way through the maze-like corridors. The walls were adorned with sleek, futuristic designs and the company's logo, a constant reminder of the corporate giant we were challenging. Our progress was slow and methodical, each member of the team working together with practiced precision. We communicated in hushed whispers and subtle hand signals, always aware of the potential danger lurking around every corner. As we neared our objective, we encountered increasingly fortified defenses, including biometric scanners, automated turrets, and heavily armed guards. Our Voodoo Boys Netrunner worked tirelessly to bypass these obstacles, their fingers dancing across a portable keyboard as they navigated the digital labyrinth of Arasaka's security systems. As we delved deeper into the facility, the atmosphere grew more oppressive, the weight of the secrets hidden within its walls bearing down on us. We knew that with each passing moment, the chances of our mission being discovered increased, and the tension among the team members was palpable. Upon entering the server room, a massive chamber filled with rows of humming machines and illuminated by the cold glow of LED lights, we knew that we had little time to spare. The air was heavy with the scent of ozone and the constant thrum of powerful processors working tirelessly to maintain the vast digital empire that Arasaka had built. We spread out and began to search the numerous server banks, looking for the specific one that housed the data we sought. The Voodoo Boys Netrunner guided us, using their intimate knowledge of Arasaka's system architecture to pinpoint the location of the cure's information. As we moved through the room, I couldn't help but feel the weight of the countless lives that hung in the balance, dependent on our success. Finally, the Netrunner identified the correct server. It was housed in a high-security containment unit, protected by layers of encryption, and reinforced by a physical barrier of dense, bulletproof glass. As I approached the unit, I noticed a small access panel on its side. The panel was protected by a sophisticated biometric lock, designed to prevent unauthorized access. However, thanks to my previous employment at Arasaka, I still had a working keycard that would grant me entry. With the Netrunner providing constant surveillance of the facility's security systems, I cautiously inserted the keycard into the panel. The lock whirred and clicked, and I held my breath as the panel slid open, revealing a gleaming interface terminal. The Netrunner quickly connected their portable keyboard and set to work, their fingers flying across the keys as they began the arduous process of hacking the server and extracting the data on the cure for cyberpsychosis. As the Netrunner worked, the rest of the team kept watch, vigilant for any signs of approaching danger. The tense silence was suddenly shattered by the distant sounds of gunfire and shouting, a chilling reminder that the revenants were hot on our trail. Time was running out, and we had to complete our mission before they closed in on us. With deft skill and unyielding focus, the Netrunner finally breached the server's encryption, gaining access to the highly classified data. They quickly copied the information onto a secure storage device, ensuring that we would have a copy even if our plan to broadcast the data to the public was thwarted. The room filled with a sense of urgency as the sounds of battle grew closer, the revenants closing in on our position. Just as the data transfer was completed, the server room's entrance burst open, revealing a squad of heavily armed revenants. A hail of bullets filled the air, and we were forced to engage in a desperate firefight, defending our position as the Netrunner disconnected the storage device and prepared to make our escape. In the midst of the chaos, I clutched the secure storage device tightly, knowing that it held the key to potentially saving countless lives. With the data in our possession, we fought our way out of the server room and began the perilous journey back through the Arasaka facility, determined to escape and bring the truth to light. As the Voodoo Boys prepared to broadcast the information to every corner of Night City, a sudden and devastating counterattack by Arasaka crippled the Voodoo Boys network. The counterattack was swift and brutal, employing advanced cyber warfare techniques and overwhelming force. Our digital allies were caught off guard, their defenses falling one by one as Arasaka's hackers tore through their systems with ruthless efficiency. Their digital fortress crumbled under the onslaught, and I watched in horror as the data was lost in the chaos. Screens flickered and went dark, machines sparked and sputtered, and the once pulsing heart of our operation was reduced to a lifeless husk. The truth about the cure remained hidden, and my heart ached with the weight of failure. In the end, my sacrifice wasn't enough to expose Arasaka's dark machinations or bring hope to a city plagued by the horrors of cyberpsychosis. The battle for Night City continued, but the cure remained a secret known only to the elite. My life was forever changed, and the weight of my failure weighed heavily on my conscience. Bereft of allies, I found solace in the company of fellow outcasts who also sought to bring about change in Night City. Together, we vowed to continue our struggle against the oppressive megacorporations that sought to control the lives of ordinary citizens. As the days turned into weeks and then months, I dedicated myself to finding a way to synthesize the cure once again. I knew that the road ahead was long and uncertain, but I couldn't abandon those who still suffered from cyberpsychosis. With every setback, I drew upon the memory of the people I had met in the shadows of Night City, their pain, and their hope for a better future. My fight against Arasaka and the other megacorporations became a personal crusade. I knew that the chances of success were slim, but I couldn't stand idly by while the powerful preyed upon the weak. And so I continued to fight, seeking allies in the most unlikely of places and risking my life to save others from the same fate that had befallen so many. In the darkest corners of Night City, whispers of my efforts began to spread, and I found myself becoming something of a legend among those who had been cast aside by society. They called me the Savior, a title that I never sought but could not escape. My crusade was far from over, but each small victory brought me one step closer to the dream of a better future. Yet the cure for cyberpsychosis remained tantalizingly out of reach, and with each passing day, the specter of Arasaka and the revenants loomed ever larger. As the hunt for me intensified, the odds of success seemed to grow ever more distant. In the end, I was forced to confront the tragic reality that the cure might never be brought to light, and the suffering of those afflicted with cyberpsychosis might continue unabated. My heart ached with the knowledge that my efforts may have been in vain, and the dream of a better future for those suffering from cyberpsychosis remained painfully out of reach. But despite the odds, I refused to give up. I knew that as long as I drew breath, there was still hope. And so, I continued to fight, determined to carry the weight of my failure and the hope of those who still believed in me. The road ahead was long and uncertain, but I could not and would not abandon the people of Night City to their dark fate. Thank you for listening to this short story. If you liked the story, consider leaving a like on the video and subscribing for more cyberpunk short stories.